microphone on. So we had to use this room, but we'll try to keep it a little more intimate. So my name is Joelle Munich. I work for the Office of Graduate and Professional Studies, and this is one of our graduate and professional student workshops, and the focus of this one is professional development for graduate students. And so if you want to put the slide up there. So my job within OGAPS is really focused around professional development for graduate students, and so our office is trying to, hold on one second, is really trying to connect students with resources and opportunities for professional development, and that's something we haven't really done a lot of in the past. And so in the last couple years, I was hired on, it was a new position that was created, and so we've really had a big initiative to try to connect students to opportunities that are already existent on campus, but then also create new opportunities and try to fill in some gaps where there's resources that aren't available. And so I feel really, am I in the microphone okay? Okay. So I feel really passionate about this topic too, because I got my master's here at A&M. I got my undergrad first, and then took a semester off and then came back for my master's. And I just realized our university is focused a lot on undergrads. And so I just kind of like assumed once I became a grad student that these resources just weren't available to me. They were only for undergrads. But that's not true. There's actually a whole lot of resources that are available to grad students. And so there's a lot of things that I know now that I wish I would have known when I was a student, because it really would have helped me with getting through my master's program. So that's really kind of where our office is at with professional development, and why I'm really passionate about it. So the first big question that everyone asks is why. So we call it the other education, because like undergrads, have any of you guys gotten your undergrad here? Okay. So when you're talking from an undergrad's viewpoint, what is the other education? Yeah, so they really, it's all about involvement, student activities, and they call the other education the education you get outside of the classroom, basically. And so that's kind of what we're talking about when we say other education, is those professional development opportunities that are outside of the classroom. And so the big question for a lot of grad students, yeah, that's fun when you're an undergraduate student because you typically have more time, right? But graduate students, you guys are really busy. There's a lot more pressure. And so a lot of times they ask, okay, well, why? I already am really pressed for time. Why should I give my time to professional development activities? And so one thing is, it's kind of obvious, but you'll be better prepared for a larger array of employment opportunities. And I like to tell this story of one of my friends, Dr. Katie Stober. She actually works in the Career Center. Maybe some of y'all have met her. So she got a PhD in English from the University of North Texas. And she came into graduate school thinking she wanted to be a faculty member. And she was going to get her PhD, become a professor. Well, when she graduated, she tried really hard but just couldn't find a tenure track faculty position. And so she really had to start getting creative to think, okay, I need to have a job. What am I going to do? So she ended up taking this job at the Career Center here at A&M. And there's some similar things that she does. She gives workshops, which is similar to teaching. And so she's kind of still able to use her skills, but it's in a way that she didn't expect. And so what I always tell people is you want to start from the beginning with a plan B in mind. So you may have come to graduate school because you want to pursue a specific career, or maybe you don't have a specific career in mind, but it's just always good to start thinking now while you're still a student, what can I do to prepare myself for a variety of jobs so that when I graduate, I'm going to have the best success in getting a job. So how many of you guys are master's students? PhD? All right, 2. Okay. Are you guys in STEM disciplines? Anybody? Humanities? Okay. Architecture? I don't really know where architecture falls. What did I get you guys? Engineering? Okay. STEM? Okay. Cool. Okay, so also, as a graduate student, everyone's going to be graduating with advanced degrees. Everyone's going to have special skills. So when you're going out to look for your job, it's good if you have something else to set you apart. Just like when you were getting your first degree, you wanted to get extra leadership experience and stuff to set yourself apart. Well, it's the same now because everyone is graduating with specialized skills. So what else are you going to add to that to make yourself marketable? And then also, participating in professional development opportunities will really help you in your own academic development too. So there's a lot of opportunities that help you with writing and communication. Well, that's also going to help you as you are trying to defend your thesis if you're practicing your communication and writing your thesis. And so you can get extra trainings, extra certificates, stuff like that, that will set you apart, but then they'll also help you with your own academic development. And also, through participating in things maybe outside of your department, you're going to create more professional and social networks that will, you never know, just help you when you graduate. Okay, so more of the why. So one thing, this is more towards those of you that are getting PhDs or doctoral degrees, that there are fewer job opportunities available within academia. Have you guys heard that before? Yeah, that's just kind of the way the market is right now, and so that just goes back to being prepared to be versatile, you know, and having a backup plan. Also, job mobility is the new normal. So when I think about my parents, both my dad, really, my mom too, they just had one job, you know, and they're in their 60s now, getting ready to retire, and I mean, they just worked at one career and they moved up the ladder within that career. But nowadays, that's not as normal, and especially for more of the younger generation, it's normal to have multiple careers and possibly in multiple sectors. So, you know, you may be getting a degree in engineering, you may work in industry for a little while and then come work in academia or vice versa. So it's just more normal for people to have multiple careers and in different sectors. And then also, like I said, because of our economy, nowadays more people are going back to grad school. They're having a hard time finding a job, so graduate degrees have become more appealing, and so we're just flooding the market with more people with advanced degrees. And so really you want to make sure that your skills are transferable and that you're setting yourself apart. Okay. So, the Council of Graduate Schools, have you guys heard of the Council of Graduate Schools? They're kind of like the governing body that oversees graduate education, both here in the U.S. and internationally. So, they do a lot of research. They really drive the field of graduate education. So, they did a study where they asked graduate degree holders, they had already graduated and they were in their first job upon graduation all across the U.S. They surveyed them and asked them what skills are most important that they need for the job that they're working in right now. And they came up with 5. And so it was communication, knowledge of the field, planning and organization, ethics and integrity, and teamwork. And so that's what people said were most important. And this was, it was across disciplines, across sectors, just kind of a general, most important. I see some of you guys writing, so I'll stop here for a second. So then the next question in their survey was they asked these graduate degree holders, how prepared did you feel in these 5 different areas? And so they asked them, what skill did you feel most prepared in when you graduated? And can you guess what they said? Right, knowledge of the field. That's where students felt most prepared, which is, I mean, that makes sense. That's what you're getting a graduate degree for, so you can have some specialized knowledge. So they asked them, what skill did you feel least prepared in when you left graduate school? Can you guess what that was? Communication, teamwork, got a couple guesses? It was teamwork. And so you can see all of these skills, I mean, communications, teamwork, ethics and integrity, planning and organization. You can definitely develop these skills as you're pursuing your graduate degree, but if you're thinking about it ahead of time, there are also opportunities to pursue outside of your traditional coursework, lab work, maybe TA responsibilities, to even further develop these skills so that you don't have to be one of those people upon graduation saying that you feel least prepared in teamwork, you know. So that's just a little bit about the why. I just kind of wanted to intro with that because I know your time is very valuable. So I was hoping maybe I could convince you a little bit of the importance of taking advantage of these opportunities. So the next part of this presentation is just really informational to get you connected with the different resources available across campus. So I'm just kind of going to go through these, and it'll be a lot of information, but we can post this presentation online so that you can have access to it. So you can take notes if you want, but also we'll make sure that you guys get a copy of the presentation online. Okay, so I broke this up into different categories. So we're going to start with career development. And so there's a new resource. We had a handout on the table when you came in called the Versatile PhD. And it's something that A&M has recently subscribed to. And this is really geared towards PhD students, but also master's students. You can take advantage of it as well. So this is to help students explore job opportunities outside of academia. So if you say you're getting a degree in English, and the most typical career route upon graduation would be to go into academia. So say you don't want to do that, but you have no idea what other options are out there. Well, that's where this resource comes in. It's all completely online. So they have discussion boards, they have webinars, all sorts of things you can participate in, but it's all online. You log in, you make an account, and you can be completely anonymous too. A lot of students will ask us, well, I don't want my advisor to know that I'm looking at careers outside of academia, or I don't want them to know what careers I'm looking at, because they may be encouraged to follow a certain career route. But you can be completely anonymous on this website. And so it's really cool because they also have biographies of students who graduated with PhDs and what they're doing now. And it's all geared towards just finding out the possibilities of what you can do with your degree. So this is a really great resource. And if you didn't get a handout, you can grab one on the way out. Sorry, I don't have the link to the website right in front of me, but it's on that handout. The next one is the Career Center. So this was another one of those resources that I didn't realize was for graduate students. I thought, well, they can help me with a resume, but now that I'm in graduate school, I actually need to build a CV, and I can't just go to the Career Center for that. But actually you can. So Dr. Katie Stober, who I was talking about before, her role is specifically to do outreach to graduate students. So she has a whole workshop series that is geared just towards graduate students, and a whole bunch of resources. She does CV review and resume review. So regardless of what you need to create, she can help you. They have walk-in hours where you can just go get some one-on-one advising. And they have some really good resources. So if you're wanting to pursue a career within academia, she has a workshop series that is all about preparing your job application, preparing for the interview, the whole process beginning to end. And then she also has a workshop series that is the same only for looking for jobs within industry. And it's all geared towards graduate students. So all the examples are about graduate students. So it's a really great resource. Also, if you're wanting to diversify yourself a little bit, a lot of people who are in like science or engineering that are getting a graduate degree but probably going to go work in industry, a really great resource is to get a certificate in either leadership or business. And so they have some offered through the Mays Business School. And actually, I'm going to real quick switch over to their website. And let's see. Okay, this is really hard. Okay, so this is for the certificate in business. You can go to mays.tamu.edu to find out more about this. And so with these certificates, you have to take, I think they're between 9 and 12 hours for these different certificates. So, you might extend your stay by a semester. And you would need to enroll in these courses, but it could really help give yourself that extra edge. And so you can see they have required courses, elective courses, and if you're interested in pursuing something like this, this certificate in business is 12 credit hours. You can contact the Mays Business School and they can help you get enrolled in the right courses and let you know what you need to do. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I am just going to scroll down. Okay, so also the ALEC department, have you guys, any of you guys heard of that? I only know this because that was my department that I was in. It stands for Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communication. They also offer a certificate in leadership, and it's more focused on like leadership education rather than like business or entrepreneurial leadership. And so I'll show you their website also. If you go to ALEC, which is ALEC, at tamu.edu, they have information about their certificate program. And I think this one might be 15 hours, 12 or 15. But same thing, they have a list of required courses for this certificate and then some electives you can take. And then you can see here the contact if you're interested is Dr. Barry Boyd. They have an email address and phone number. So if that's something that interests you, it's a great resource. Okay. Okay, so next, if you're interested in developing further skills in teaching and instruction, there's some really great resources. Have any of you guys heard of the Center for Teaching Excellence, or CTE? Yes, I see one head nodding. Have you been to any of their workshops?
I haven't been to their workshop, but it was a mandatory part of the thing that I teach, and they wanted to do that.
Okay, yeah. So the CTE, are any of you guys TAs? Yeah, so they put on the TA training. They also offer a lot of good resources. So I took a few of theirs, even though I wasn't it's focused on college teaching, their workshops and seminars. But even if you're wanting to teach in a little bit different setting, the core principles behind what they present is really helpful. I went to a workshop that teaches you how to create learning outcomes, and even if you're not necessarily going to teach in a college classroom, it's still really good just to know how to create learning outcomes and put together a lesson plan based on that. So they have a lot of different topics that you can apply to outside of college teaching. They have the Graduate Teaching Academy, which is where if you attend a certain number of workshops and then do a couple of classroom observations, you can have this certificate at the end of the semester saying that you've had this extra training in college teaching. And they also, if you are a TA or if any of your friends are TAs, they have a really great consultant program where if you let them know that you would like some feedback, they will actually have someone from their office come and sit in on your lab or your lecture, whatever it is that you're teaching, and they'll take notes, and at the end they'll give you some feedback about what you can do to improve your teaching. And so they also offer one-on-one consultations if you just wanted to go into their office and ask them some questions if you have any issues within your class that you want to get some advice on. They are really, really great there. Also, this is another completely online resource. It's CERTL, which stands for the Center for Integration of Research and Teaching and Learning. So this is an NSF-funded project that our university participates in along with 23 other universities across the U.S. And so these provide online resources such as webinars and discussion groups, and they have little coffee hours is what they call them. And it's professional development within teaching. And specifically focused on teaching STEM courses. But again, there's a lot of great principles that can be applied outside of those disciplines. And the good thing about this is it's completely online. They also have online courses that you can register for credit if you're wanting to get some extra development and teaching, but you want it to maybe count towards your degree. If you get approval from your committee, you can enroll in those courses. And so, yes, I think that's all I was going to say about that. CERTL, it's a really great resource, and we're still kind of just getting it up and running on campus here, but I think it's going to grow a lot in the next couple years. Okay, so academic writing. I feel like people's ears always perk up when we talk about academic writing because I don't know a graduate student that doesn't have to write a lot. And so people are always wanting extra help in this area. I know that was where I needed the most help, was with writing. So the Writing Center is another resource. Have any of you guys been to the Writing Center? So yeah, so this was another resource that I thought was only for undergraduate students because they have other undergraduate students that will go and review your papers and stuff, and that's what I did in the past, and I was like, well, an undergraduate student can't really help me with my graduate paper. Well, they actually do have a whole set of services for graduate students, so if you tell them that you're a graduate student, you can have a higher level person reviewing your papers, and that is really, really helpful. They also have dissertation thesis writing groups that meet once a week, and so really what that is kind of like an accountability group. So if you're working on a dissertation thesis, or even if you just have a semester-long paper that you're writing and you want some help, they meet once a week and they just kind of talk about where they're at. They'll swap papers and help review, peer edit each other's papers. So that's a really good resource. They also have a dissertation retreat. So for those of you that are doctoral students, it's a week-long retreat where you basically sign up to come to the Writing Center 8 to 5 days a week, and you just write all day. And they feed you, so you don't even have to leave. But the idea is just to be really, really intensive writing. And so it's very common that students will get a whole chapter written in those 5 days because they're just, yeah, it's intense. But you have people there that are keeping you on track, motivating you. When you get stuck, they'll read your paper for you, and you're doing it as a group. And so it's just a really high-powered writing session that's been really successful for students. So they have that in January and in August every year, but they fill up really quickly. So that's something, if you are interested in, that you'd want to sign up for in advance. And I do think that they let some master's students participate too, if you're writing a thesis. Okay, also, have any of you guys heard of the Power Writing Program? So it's facilitated through the College of Education, but it's open to all students at the university. And they are focused more on, rather than, at the Writing Center, you can have someone go and read through and edit your paper. With Power Writing Group, they're more focused on the habits of writing and teaching you how to be a good writer. And so I went to one of their workshops, and she talks a lot about creating habits like writing for 30 minutes every single day. So you get in the habit of at least writing a little every day. And she talks about having an accountability partner where you write down what you worked on that week and you send it to someone else. And so it's like those sort of things rather than actually how to structure a sentence. It's just how to be a good writer when you're writing a thesis or dissertation or even a semester-long paper. It's different. You know, you have to have that endurance to really keep up and write a long paper. And so they do workshops. They also, you can enroll in a course for credit, and they do one-on-one consultations too. So you can go in and get some help. You know, if you say, I've really got writer's block really bad, or I'm just stuck right now and I don't know what to do, they'll help you walk through, okay, well, what are your practices when you're trying to write and how can you overcome that? So that is, and their website is power.tamu.edu. Okay, so another area is leadership, which is, there's lots of opportunities for that on campus. Are any of you guys involved with like a graduate student society within your department at all? Yeah. So a lot of departments have graduate student societies, and those are a good way to get involved. And even a lot of those societies within the department will have their own professional development opportunities that you can get involved with. But then also at the university level, we have several organizations that are geared specifically towards graduate students. So these are the major ones: the Graduate Student Council, the Black Graduate Student Association, the International Student Association, the Hispanic and Latino Graduate Student Association, and the Indian Graduate Student Association. So within that, there's ways to get connected socially and professionally, and then also have opportunities for leadership experience. But then also there's a lot of professional societies that you can become a part of. And I remember a piece of advice that someone gave me was ask your faculty members what professional societies they're a member of, and then you should go become a member. Because most of the professional societies will offer a discounted, membership to graduate students. So for like $50 a year, you can get connected to these professional societies. Then you can go to conferences, but also just a lot of them have great resources. A lot of them have job listings available, and so that's a really good way to get connected to like professionally within your field. But then also I know for sure a few of the professional societies have chapters on campus, and if they don't, that's something, if you're interested in, you could always start a chapter on campus, and that's a really great way to develop some leadership skills and stay connected professionally within your field. Okay, also on the OGAP's website, we've created a search engine. This is a screenshot to find professional development opportunities, and this focuses more like on the department level. It also includes stuff from like the Writing Center and Career Center, but as far as finding out what's available in your department, this is a good resource. We did a survey. Our office did a survey of all the departments to kind of find out, okay, what is currently being done, and then we put all that data from the survey into this search engine. And so you can search by category or by college and department. Also by target audience, so if you want to find everything that's open to master's students, you can do that. So this is a really great resource too. So last thing I wanted to talk about is funding, because people are always calling our office asking about how can they get funding to go to a conference or a professional development opportunity or training or something off campus. So our office offers a research and presentation grant, and that is to cover, so it's a little bit confusing. It's one grant, but there's two different types. The presentation grant is to offer funding to travel to a conference if you are presenting at that conference. The research grant is to give you funding to go conduct your research. So if you need to travel, you can cover the travel expenses of going out into the field and conducting research. Or if you need some equipment, you can use the research grant for that. But if you're presenting research results, that would fall under the presentation grant. So with this grant, you're eligible for it once per degree. So if you're a master's student, you can only get it once while a master's student. But if you go on to do your PhD, then you would then become eligible again to receive it while you're pursuing your PhD. Also, the Graduate Student Council has a travel award, and theirs, I know, can be used for traveling to a conference, but also I don't think you have to be a presenter. If you just want to go to attend the conference, you could still apply for this award, and I think that you can also use it for like trainings or career fairs or other opportunities that you would want to travel off campus for. I think this is a little bit more broad. I don't know the details about that award, but I do know that it's on the Graduate Student Council website. And for both of these, there are deadlines. And so for ours, I know there's 4 deadlines throughout the year, and there's travel periods. So on February 1st, we just had a deadline for those who wanted to travel March through May. So these require a little bit of planning ahead of time. Even if you're not sure if you've been accepted to a conference yet, if you're thinking of going to one like next semester, now is the time to find out that information and start applying to these. I know that the Graduate Student Council Travel Awards have deadlines too. I don't exactly know how they work or how many they have, but it's a similar setup. So I just wanted to show this real quick, these are our deadlines because we get lots of questions about these. So, and sometimes you don't always know ahead of time whether or not you're going to be going to a conference, but I would just really recommend even talking to your advisor now and saying, you know, in the next year or two, depending on how long you'll be here, what are some conferences that you think I should participate in? And figure that out now, and then you can look at these dates and you can know what's coming up and just be prepared to get as much funding as possible to really be sure that you can make it to these conferences. And so that, was anybody writing anything down from the last slide? Okay, so that's all the information I have for you guys. Do you have any questions? I know that was a lot. I just kind of dumped it all on you guys. But I hope it was helpful.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For the travel plan, it said I should be registered full time in summer to apply for a certain. What does it mean exactly? Should I be taking credits?
Okay, so the question was, do you have to be registered full-time in the summer to apply for the travel grant? So for our travel grant, the OGAPS travel grant, the way it works is you're awarded the grant, and then you don't actually get the money up front. You would go to the conference, save your receipts, and then you turn in your receipts, and we reimbursed you for those receipts. So you actually receive the money after the conference. And so in order for us to reimburse you, we distribute that money through your student account. So you have to be a registered, full-time registered student in order for us to distribute money to you. If you're not currently enrolled, we can't give out that money. It's just like a financial aid thing. So that is why, depending on when you apply and when the conference is, you need to be registered full-time in order to receive the reimbursement after. So does that make sense? So there have been some situations where a student traveled in the summer and then we waited till the fall to reimburse them, but it just can get kind of difficult. But we are looking at different options because I know there's a lot of students that aren't registered in the summer, and there's a lot of conferences in the summer. So hopefully, just like keep checking in with us because hopefully we're going to figure out a way to get around that.
Is there a discretion in how many awards do you make for this travel grants?
Yeah. So each award period.
You told me that you could get, and then somebody came back and said that there's only one grant. Wow.
Well, okay, wait. Ask your question again.
I just wanted to find out if there's a cap on the number of grants that you normally allow.
Per student or just in general? Okay, so the question is there a cap on how many grants we give out each award period? So there is, but it's not a number of grants. We have a total number of funds available for each travel period, and so it depends on how many applications we get because the presentation awards are $350. The research awards are $500, and if you're traveling internationally for your presentation, that is also $500. So it just depends on what kind of mix of applications we get, but we award a certain amount of funds per travel period. And so that's also why if you miss the deadline, why we're not able to award late is because once we've given out all of those funds, we don't have any money left for that travel period. Does that answer your question?
Is it on a first-come, first-served basis, or you just start checking the applications after the deadline?
Both. So we wait till the deadline to review applications, but if we receive more applications than we have funding for, then we'll go back and see the students that submitted earliest get preference. Because after we receive applications, we check for eligibility and different things, and once we weed out the students that aren't actually eligible, most of the time we're able to award all of those, but there have been some times where we've had to go back and look at the date we received them. So it is good to get it in as early as possible, but also as long as you're before the deadline, we'll still review your application.
Is the point of consideration dependent on the departmental grants or anything like that, or is it independent of everything?
Okay, so your question is, if you're receiving other funds, will that affect? No, we ask you to specify whether or not you're receiving other funds on the application, but at least in the last 2 years that I've been helping with this, there's never been a time where we have not awarded because someone else is receiving other funds. Because we know our grant is not a lot of money, and it can be kind of expensive to go to some of those conferences, so a lot of students will receive multiple grants, both GSC and OGAPS, or they're getting something from their department and us, so that's pretty common.
And does the GSC give grants for international travel? We have a conference actually in June. So we're trying to find out if we can get funding for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we are like 3 research students who are going out there. So we were trying to find out, it's an expensive trip.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Europe is an expensive trip because the airfare I think is like $1,600.
Yeah.
And then of course staying there is additional, and membership is additional. So can we get grants from both the organizations, both from OGAPS and GSC?
Yes, so the question is, can students get grants from GSC and OGAPS? Yes, you can receive both. I don't know if the GSC has a specific international travel grant. I'm not really sure how they decide. I know they have different funding amounts, like different levels, but I don't know what would qualify you for the higher level. I think 500 is their biggest award and maybe 250 is their smallest. But the best thing to do is either contact the GSC or look on their website for those details. Any other questions? All right, thanks. Yeah.